Welcome to the last part of nonmetals. So far, we have looked at air, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. In this video, we're going to take a look at pollution. What is pollution? Pollution is just the contamination of the environment with harmful substances. These harmful substances that pollute our environment are called pollutants. There are different types of pollution in our syllabus. In this chemistry, we're going to take a look at 3 types of pollution, which includes land pollution, air pollution, and water pollution. We'll start with land pollution. Land pollution occurs when pollutants are added to the land. The major causes of land pollution are materials which do not rot or decay. So materials like paper, plastic, glass, which do not decay, are together called non-biodegradable. Non-biodegradable. The definition of this word non-biodegradable is a material that cannot be decayed by the action of bacteria. Materials like food, most food, when you throw them in the environment, they can be decayed, they can be broken down by bacteria. We can also give another example of a material which is biodegradable, such as maybe carcasses or dead bodies of animals. When for example, an animal dies and no one maybe thinks of burying it, so the body is going to be broken down to be decomposed, because such material that makes up the body is called biodegradable. But materials like paper, plastic, glass, they are non-biodegradable. And because they're non-biodegradable, they cannot be easily decayed. When we throw them, if they are not collected and taken somewhere safe, or maybe if they are not burnt, then they'll remain there. They'll never be decomposed by bacteria. So these are the major pollutants of land. So in summary, just examples of land pollutants: I've talked about plastics, I've also talked about glass. Next, we go to water pollution, which is defined as the contamination of water. So water pollution occurs when pollutants are added to water. So the definition of water pollution comes from the definition of pollution, which is just the contamination of the land. So when we say water pollution, we mean contamination of water. Here are some examples of water pollutants. The first is oil spillage. Oil spillage by oil tankers and leaking engines of speedboats pollutes the water. So why is the presence of oil in water an issue? Why is it a pollutant? How does it contaminate the water? So there are some aquatic organisms or organisms in water that depends or that survive on oxygen. So there is some sort of exchange between the oxygen in the external environment and the oxygen or the gases in water. So when oil covers the surface of the water, that exchange system is disturbed, therefore disturbing the lives of aquatic organisms. That's why oil spillage are considered to be water pollutants. So one way in which we can curb off this is you can scoop the oil from the surface of the water if possible. Another water pollutants are weeds. Weeds, these are plants that grow without control and the likes. So these weeds prevent the smooth water transport. This transport can be just the movement of water, as in hydroelectric power stations, which depends on the movement of water to produce electricity. So if this movement is disturbed, then the hydropower plant cannot also work as designed. The movement also can be extended to the lives of aquatic organisms. So these organisms might have a lifestyle of moving between point A and point B. But if there is too much weeds between the 2 points, then that way of survival, their way of survival is going to be disturbed, as they cannot move from maybe where they find home and where they get food. So weeds are also considered to be water pollutants. So one solution to deal with weeds is to cut and remove all the weeds from the water. Next, it's industrial waste. So companies that manufacture various products, and they make use of chemicals. Some of the chemical wastes are thrown in the water. So when that happens, these chemical wastes might be acidic. If they're acidic, the water is going to be made into a pH that is acidic, meaning that the lives of those organisms that do not survive in acidic environments is going to be disturbed. So in summary, acidic industrial waste makes the water slightly acidic. This has an effect on organisms that do not need acidic environments, such as aquatic plants. So to deal with this, industrial waste should be treated with slaked lime to neutralize them. Slaked lime, it's an alkaline solution or an alkaline compound. So if this alkaline compound is added to the acidic industrial waste, they are going to be neutralized, and when they are disposed into water, the pH of water is not going to be affected. Also, you can set up dumping sites to deal with this. Instead of throwing these into in aquatic environments, you can just throw them on dumping sites. We also have acid rain, which has nearly the same effect as industrial waste. So acid rain reduces the pH of the water, since it adds acid to the water. How acid rains come about and what makes up acid rain, we're going to discuss later. We also have debris. So debris include solid particles and plant parts. So you will forgive me about this part here, this was just a typo. But debris include solid particles and plant parts. There are some solid particles that can be inside water, and they can be also dead bodies of plants, even animals, that can end up blocking the flow of water or blocking certain passages, therefore disturbing the lives of aquatic organisms. So debris are also considered to be water pollutants. The way to deal with debris is the same as maybe even the way we dealt with oil, where you just have to remove them. For acid rain, the same as the way to deal with industrial waste, where you may add a base or an alkaline just to neutralize the acid. Lastly, we look at air pollution. So air pollution occurs when pollutants are added to the atmosphere, and the definition is the contamination of air. Examples of air pollutants includes the following gases: carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, soot, lead compound. So we're going to take a look at some of the common air pollutants, such as carbon monoxide, even carbon dioxide, we'll look at it, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, and lead compounds. So we start with carbon monoxide. So the formula for carbon monoxide is CO. And where does it come from? It comes from incomplete combustion of fuel. Fuel is carbon. So whenever oxygen is reacting with carbon, what we observe, or in a normal way, in a way that has nothing to do with chemistry, or should I say in a layman's ways, we view it to be burning of fuel. But what actually is happening is oxygen reacting with carbon. So when this reaction is happening and there is a limited supply of oxygen, then carbon monoxide is going to be formed. You can view this to be whenever there's burning, carbon dioxide is supposed to be produced. Carbon dioxide is made of one carbon and two oxygens. So when there is a limited supply of oxygen such that one oxygen atom is going to react with one carbon atom, carbon monoxide is produced instead of carbon dioxide. So, okay, yes, carbon monoxide is produced. How does carbon monoxide affect the air? So, this carbon monoxide has a very bad behavior of combining with a pigment on a red blood cell called hemoglobin. This pigment, hemoglobin, is the one that combines with oxygen, and as the red blood cells are moving around the body, that oxygen is distributed to all parts of the body. But when carbon monoxide combines with hemoglobin, it means there will be a limited supply of oxygen in a person who has inhaled carbon monoxide. The end result is there will be suffocation, unconsciousness, or death. In cold season or in another season, it is not advised to sleep with burning charcoal. Why? If you are asleep and there's charcoal burning and it is inside a room, once the oxygen is used up inside the room, there will be a limited supply of oxygen. So the burning process is going to be producing carbon monoxide because there's not enough oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. So instead of breathing in oxygen, you'll be breathing in carbon monoxide, and you might end up facing these consequences. So the solution is to use alternative source of fuel like hydrogen, which does not pollute the air. Also, you can just avoid incomplete combustion of fuels by adding more oxygen to whatever is burning. Next, sulfur dioxide. The formula, as we know, is this. The source is just the combustion of fossil fuels. So as you are burning fossil fuels, some which have sulfur, you can end up having sulfur dioxide as the product. So sulfur dioxide dissolves in rainwater, which come down as acid rain. So what happens is this sulfur dioxide, when you burn, it goes up in the atmosphere. Once it goes up in the atmosphere, it will react with water. Of course, I'm talking about rainwater there. So this sulfur dioxide is going to react with water and it will form sulfuric acid. So as the rain is pouring, it won't be water, it will be sulfuric acid. And this sulfuric acid is the one that affects the aquatic environment or the water environment, as I had explained. So this sulfuric acid also has a negative effect on the land, especially on crops, because it makes the soil acidic, making the survival of our crops a struggle. So, in summary, these are some of the adverse effects of acid rain. First, acid rain makes the soil to become acidic. Acid rain dissolves monuments made of calcium carbonate. So most monuments are made of course, cement, which has calcium carbonate. So this calcium carbonate reacts with the sulfuric acid. As a result, the monuments or the building that is made of cement will start corroding. Sorry, not corroding, but eroding, such that it will be eaten up slowly as the rain keeps on falling. Again, acid rain erodes buildings like I've explained, and iron roofing sheets. Why? Iron roofing sheets, as the name suggests, they are made of iron. So the acid rain, which is sulfuric acid, provides an electrolyte. And since there is just air, oxygen, and there is water, what do you expect? Rust. So rust is going to be formed and iron roofs are going to be eroded. So this is what I'm from saying. Iron roofing sheets rust rapidly because of the presence of an electrolyte, which is sulfuric acid. Sulfur dioxide also combines with water vapor in the lungs to form an acid. So instead of another negative effect of this sulfur dioxide, instead of just going in the atmosphere and combining with other than going up in the atmosphere and combining with water, when you breathe sulfur dioxide inside your lungs, there is water vapor. So that combination that happens in the atmosphere might happen in your lungs, making acid inside your lungs. This acid can cause temporary or permanently damaged lungs or damage to the lungs. Next, look at carbon dioxide. The formula we're familiar with. So where does carbon dioxide comes from? They're just like I was explaining on carbon monoxide. Carbon dioxide comes when there's complete combustion of fuels. So the negative effect of carbon dioxide is it depletes the ozone layer, leading to global warming. So the atmosphere is covered by a layer called the ozone layer. This ozone layer is made of a gas, which we're going to discuss later. So this carbon dioxide, when it goes up to the atmosphere, it reacts with this gas. When it reacts with this gas, the ozone or the gas which has participated in the reaction changes into a compound that's going to be formed when carbon dioxide reacts with that gas. Okay, mean that the ozone is going to be the compound that makes up the ozone is going to be used up. Therefore, the ozone is being depleted. So what's the function of the ozone? The ozone absorbs some dangerous rays from the sun. So there are some rays from the sun which are dangerous and they're not supposed to reach Earth because they are dangerous to the inhabitants of the Earth. So once these rays reach the upper atmosphere, they are blocked by this ozone. So if the ozone is depleted, then these are able to easily penetrate and reach Earth. So that's how carbon dioxide is a pollutant also, because it depletes the ozone layer. Once the ozone layer is depleted, then those dangerous rays will be able to reach Earth, in a process harming the inhabitants of the Earth and also increasing the temperature of the Earth. Once the temperature of the Earth is increased, it leads to what is called global warming, where the Earth becomes warmer as time goes. Because of this, there is what we call climate change, which comes about this. Because of the changing temperature, the weather pattern of the Earth also changes. And that is a disaster. Additionally, carbon dioxide dissolves in water to form an acid, and the result is also acid rain. So how do we deal with carbon dioxide? The only solution is massive afforestation, which is just planting a lot of trees. How does planting a lot of trees help with reducing the levels of carbon dioxide that are being emitted by burning and by humans? Because trees make use of oxygen in a process of photosynthesis. Let me say that again. Trees make use of carbon dioxide in the process of photosynthesis. So trees are going to be farming that carbon dioxide that is in the atmosphere to produce food. Next, look at oxides of nitrogen. So the sources of oxides of nitrogen are combustion of fuels in car exhaust. Oxides of nitrogen are found in car exhaust gases. What are the negative effects of oxides of nitrogen? So the compounds of nitrogen form cumulative poison in tissues of living things. As you keep on breathing, they will be accumulating in the tissues, and since they are poisonous, they are going to be destroying the tissues. Next, we look at lead compounds. So lead compounds, they are nearly the same as oxides of nitrogen. The source is the same, and they are found in the same exhaust gases. The effect is when lead is taken into the body, it may settle and stored in the bones or membranes of the brain. Lead is very poisonous. So once it is taken in and stored in the bones or membranes of the brain, what happens is it leads to damaging of the bones, brain, and the nervous system. So the solution is to use what is called leaded petrol, or to use lead tetraethyl, so that to add lead tetraethyl to petrol. When lead tetraethyl is added to petrol, it acts as an inhibitor. An inhibitor is something that prevents the knocking of a car or a vehicle. What is knocking? So knocking in chemistry, we define it as an even burning of fuel which results in exhaust of gases from lead compounds. So when fuel is being burnt evenly, then there will be no exhaust gases. But if there's an even burning of fuel, then there will be exhaust gases and there will be knocking. So lead tetraethyl is added to make sure that there are no exhaust gases, therefore no lead compounds or no gases that come from lead compounds. Finally, we look at ozone. So ozone, the formula is O3. The source is photochemical smog, which comprises of things like sparks, lightning, and the likes. The effect is, as much as it is a good thing on the upper atmosphere, on the lower atmosphere, it has these negative effects. So at ground level, ozone is an eye irritant. It causes breathing problems and damages plants. In the atmosphere, it prevents the just rays of the sun from reaching the earth, as I've explained. Depression of ozone causes global warming, just an emphasis of the point that I had shared with you when we were studying carbon dioxide. To end this topic, what are some of the general solutions to the problems of pollution? As you saw, some of the pollutants I was able to provide solutions, but others I was not. But there are some general solutions to all problems of pollution. So the first is recycling of waste products. Okay, you use something, instead of throwing it away, try to make it into something useful. We can also set up protection standards. This involves limiting or banning of the manufacture and handling of certain products that are a source of pollution. We can also develop engines that use fuels which pollute less and using catalytic converters. We can also set up advisory boards to monitor pollution. Such boards would advise and give assistance on the disposal of pollutants. In Zambia, there is a board which looks after the environment called ZEMA. So this marks the end of this topic. Happy solving.